Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to POCHO'S Sports. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the big main event this past Saturday in UFC 299, O'Malley versus Chito. It was a great fight, great card, stacked card. Getting ready for UFC 300 that's coming up next month. But the big ones that were on that card were Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint-Denis and Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera. That was the main event. Starting off with the co-main event and Dustin Poirier and Benoit. It was an interesting fight. I did not see Dustin trying to go for submissions. That shocked me the most. He was trying to do the guillotine. He attempted it 4 times, as it says in the stats. And I was shocked that he was trying to, wrestle this guy, because Benoit is known for, his wrestling background. So it was just shocking that he was trying to choke him out. But,
But wouldn't that count like as a submission? Because he was going for those guillotines, and it was funny because it even got to the point where even when he did stun him, he fucking tried getting a guillotine. Like he was addicted to the guillotines, kind of the majority of that fight, which is one of his main things, right? One of his main moves. If I'm not wrong.
I believe so. I mean, Leiko, when we were watching the fight together, Leiko was even saying it. He's being possum, and he was, and he connected, knocked him out. So, yeah, I was just shocked that he was trying to go for guillotines. I just was shocked. But hey, he won, and I was happy that he won because I was going for him. I mean, Benoit was dominating the fight. I really think so. When he came to, with his significant strikes, he had, give me a second, significant strikes, he had 50 out of 74, and Dustin Poirier had 28 out of 34. So, again, Dustin Poirier was being possum, the way Leiko said, and he got the victory.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Leiko.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. So initially, when before that, the co-main event, I had Benoit being the favorite. In my opinion, I thought he was gonna dominate Dustin. Clearly, I was very wrong. That's not what we saw. Dustin just kept, dominating him for the majority of those rounds, and he got stunned. And I saw it like Dustin was just, he was addicted to those fucking guillotines. He just kept going for that, and like I said, when it came to the actual, when Dustin hit him with that shot, and Saint-Denis kind of got stunned. What does Dustin do? He goes for the guillotine and tries to get a submission out of that. And it was funny because I saw it a lot on social media where people were like, oh, Dustin, stuns this guy and just goes straight for the fucking guillotine again. And he just kept he had that on like as a spam move almost. And yeah, I mean, I didn't expect Dustin to win. I know a lot of people are going to have a very strong opinion on that because, Dustin being Dustin, he's a great fighter. He's an amazing fighter. But I was rooting in this case for the younger guy. I was rooting, he's, if I'm not wrong, Benoit is 27 and Dustin is 33, right?
35.
35.
Yeah. So
much older.
So yeah, I mean, I thought that was going to play a big part in terms of the stamina, especially. Even though it didn't get to that point, I still thought, Dustin was going to have a hard time with that. But clearly, he's fucking got it, dude. He dominated. He ended the fight quickly. And yeah, that's all I have, to be honest.
Does he have? So what I'm trying to say is he worthy of another title shot? Is he there?
I think he is.
I think he is.
Before he calls it a quit, you think he deserves another title shot? But I mean, I think he does. Personally, I do. But you're gonna face Islam, or the likes of Charles Oliveira, or Justin Gaethje, who are really, really good fighters right now. So I just don't see him beating those fighters. Like, I just don't. And then I believe age is a big factor. He's 35, so I just personally I want him to fight a title. Don't get me wrong. How you said, Josh, Dustin Poirier is an amazing fighter, great fighter. His striking, like, he can knock people out. But I don't think he'll win the title. I just don't.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you guys. Like I saw that fight obviously with you guys, and I was not impressed with Dustin's fighting ability. It may have been better at one point, but if we're being honest, if that fight ends before he gets Benoit gets knocked out, got knocked out cold. If it ends before that, Benoit was actually winning the fight.
Yeah, 100%.
Like he was winning up until that point. And the only reason I can think that maybe Dustin was going for submissions because maybe he was tired. He didn't like have that energy in him to like be throwing punches or kicks, whatever, knees. And quite frankly, I don't think the guy deserves a title fight. He's not going to beat Islam. He's not on that level anymore, unfortunately. He's not going to beat Charles Oliveira either. And for Benoit, like I think in that case, right, like you can kind of see where the experience from Dustin is so much higher than Benoit's. In that case, when you're winning the fight, like he should not have been engaging him so much. Like his corner should have probably said, you know what, you got to keep. It was a 3-round fight, right? If I'm mistaken. Five. Either way, I don't think he should have been so aggressive. It was obvious that when they were throwing punches, Dustin was landing and it was hurting him. And whereas if he kept the distance closer to him, Benoit's bigger, he's stronger. He got a strong punch, a really strong punch. And I think the experience for Dustin carried him here. His wisdom, he's older, he's had more fights than Benoit has. Ultimately, I think that's what carried him over Benoit. Again, if this fight had just continued the way it was going, Dustin he would have got his ass kicked. Like there's no way he was going to come back from that. He needed a knockout, and I think he got it. So without that, I don't think the guy would have been able to go the full 5 rounds against Benoit. And Benoit, again, I mean, he's got to learn from this. I believe he's 16-2, so I think he'll come back from it.
He's 13-2. Yeah.
13-2.
Yeah.
13-2. He'll learn from it. He's a young fighter. He's going to learn from this definitely. Dustin, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the guy. He is 35, but
So you said that Dustin doesn't deserve that title shot, but do you think he deserves a rematch with Justin Gaethje? Because before this fight, he fought Justin Gaethje, knockout. We all saw that. It was a great head kick that Justin Gaethje landed. But what do you think regarding that, rematch possibility in regards to that?
Yeah,
I know right now it might not be on the table because just with what happened with the fights before this, but
I mean, Josh, are you impressed? Like, did you watch that fight and say, Dustin's got it? This is a champion.
No. He was tired. He was tired. How you did point out, he was tired. He was breathing hard throughout those breaks. But
he was losing.
He was losing. He was losing the fight. Like, he was. Total control time that Benoit had was, I believe, 4 minutes and 53 seconds. So, control time is a big factor when it comes to the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Benoit was trying to play Dustin's game where he wanted to outbox Dustin, which that ain't going to happen with Dustin Poirier. And also, he was way too aggressive. Again, I bring up this point that I said earlier. He was playing possum the way you said, like when we watched the fight. He was playing possum. He got that. He stunned him, and he got that hook and knocked him out.
Yeah. And let me say one thing. I will say Dustin's very strong. He don't look that strong, but the guy has a really strong punch. I still think BSD of Benoit is a little bit stronger than him. But ultimately, he got caught. And good night.
For me, I think he does deserve this title shot because when I saw the fight gonna happen between Dustin versus Benoit, everybody was hyping about Benoit, like saying like, "Oh, he's the next big thing for the lightweight," and he was like, "Oh, he finished all his 5 opponents," and everyone thought like this might be the end of Dustin Poirier, saying that, "Oh, he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. Does he have it in him?" La 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 la. But I think he does deserve it because he proved everybody wrong. Like realistically, he proved everybody wrong. Saying like, oh, this young kid, how old is he? Like 30 years old?
Who?
Benoit.
He's 27,
Look, see, like everyone like, oh,
28.
this young kid gonna come up. He's gonna beat Dustin Poirier to prove a point, saying like, oh, I deserve to be in the top 5. And honestly, we all saw it. That didn't happen. Like, it's literally what Lako and Danny said too. Like, he was just think he can outbox him. No, sorry,
Well,
because that
sorry, Carlos, to cut you off. Yeah, obviously. But my question is, like, it's how Lako says, could he keep up with the likes of Charles Oliveira? Or could he keep up with Islam? I believe Dustin fought already Islam, right?
no, Dustin fought Khabib, and
Charles.
he almost won with the guillotine. Almost got him too.
Okay.
I did see that.
Which one's the one? Who did Dustin? I'm trying to remember who did Dustin fight.
So in the last, I'm gonna say 4 years now 3 years before this fight. So he fought obviously Justin Gaethje. Then he went on to fight Michael Chandler, which he beat, and then it was Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier.
Okay, that's the one I think where he just gave up his back. Imagine.
Yeah, he gave up his back. Yeah, there you go.
Imagine fighting Islam, who can literally out wrestle like anyone. It's just he's gonna give up his back, and that fight he almost gave up his back again. And we literally, I called it like this: the way Dustin's gonna lose if he gives up his back, and he almost did. Luckily, he got out of it. I think obviously this camp his improvements was his wrestling, getting out of chokeholds and whatnot, and yeah, it saved him. But I mean, it's just again my question: could he keep up with these fighters? That's the real question. Could he keep up his fighter? Like, I love Dustin Poirier. Like, I want him to be successful in the UFC, which he is already. But can he keep up with these wrestlers? My answer is, does he deserve another title shot? Yes. But would he keep up with these fighters? No. He'll probably lose to whoever he faces, whoever's the champion, which will still be Islam.
I still think, he shouldn't be counted out regardless.
Well, no, obviously he shouldn't be, but it's just like he's not going to keep up with him. Like, his age is a factor, and it's just, I don't know. It's just he can't be playing possum with these fighters because they'll just wrestle him down to the mat and eventually choke him out.
Like, can I say something? It's like when we saw Justin versus Dustin, and besides that head kick, who was actually winning the fight?
I honestly don't remember.
You don't remember?
I really don't remember the fight.
I'm going to say it was Dustin, right?
It was Dustin. He won the first round, and I know that kick came out of nowhere. He didn't protect himself, and boom.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like, I'm not going to say lucky because I don't want to, it was a lucky shot because, like, dude, head kicks are really insane when it comes to the UFC, but...
Yeah, there's no such thing as luck in the UFC.
Look what happened with Usman. He was winning the whole fight, and all freaking Leon Edwards just, boom, knocks him out. Another one is... Who else was... There's another kick. I forgot who, but it's just... They're lucky kicks, but you have to give them credit where credit is due. But going back to that topic, it's just... I don't see Dustin keeping up with those fighters, just in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll see though.
Yeah, I think we'll see. But we also do have that main event to talk about, right? Which was Sean O'Malley versus Chito. In this case, Chito Vera. So yeah, let's move over to that, right?
I was disappointed. Yeah, going into how Josh says, going into the main event, Sugar Sean versus Chito, I was really disappointed. I really wanted Chito to win. That was just, I just wanted him to win. I wanted him to win. But, I mean, obviously Sugar Sean right now is just incredible. The way he kept attacking Chito, his knee to the face, how did he not get knocked out? I was shocked that he didn't get knocked out. And we got to give credit to Sean. But I will say this. I will say this. If he fights a wrestler, he's not going to be able to do that because I think the wrestler or whoever he fights in the future that is like wrestling background, I think that's going to be a weak spot for Sean.
So I had a different opinion when it came to Sean O'Malley, and just watching the fight that happened on Saturday with, oh yeah, after that fight, I think we even said it too when because we watched the fight together, that we saw that Sean was definitely beatable, right? But
Yeah.
and Danny, just like you said, right? Once he faces a wrestler or someone that can grapple like that, I think that's where he's going to have some problems. But I did watch, and this is what Michael Bisping said, but it was basically like, don't count Sean O'Malley out when it comes to the ground game. And yeah, I did a quick search right now, and Sean O'Malley, he did a jiu-jitsu tournament back in 2019, and he actually won that tournament. So, and he looked solid. So that's something that I personally didn't know up until now. And now it kind of makes me think a little bit more of, obviously he faces a pure wrestler or pure jiu-jitsu artist, and he just it's a fight that's just on the ground. I think Sean has done a lot to avoid those confrontations when it came to these bigger fights, which is avoid that ground game, and it's kind of forced fighters his opponents to fight the way that Sean fights, which is boxing, right? Just
that's what he did with Sterling. That's what he did with Sterling.
Yeah, and Sterling has a great ground game, right? Yeah. So we're seeing that, and I think it just takes though that one fighter that's like, okay, I'm not gonna do whatever the fuck you want me to do. I'm gonna do what I want to do. You're gonna fight me how I want to fight, and we're gonna take it to the ground. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Sean deals with that pressure when it comes to a very aggressive fighter. That his game plan is, let's take this guy to the ground and let's get a submission out of it, or see how far it gets me. Ground and pound, whatever it is. We haven't seen that yet. When obviously he's brand new. He's a new champion. He's proven himself, but just I think what I want to say is that don't count Sean out, especially with the ground game. Even though it's not one of his strong suits, it's still something that he's very skilled in, and definitely when it comes to talking about that, be a little bit careful when it comes to saying, hey, he doesn't have a ground game, or he doesn't have something that we haven't seen yet, right? Because there is videos and records of that he does have that jiu-jitsu background.
Right. But I mean, his ground game or his ground defense, excuse me, that was decent. I mean, Chito tried to take him down a couple times, and he didn't.
He just says no. Yeah, he was fucking. Yeah,
it was good. It was good.
Yeah,
and then Chito he kept. I don't know. We were watching the fight, and obviously we were hyping up Chito, and he just kept missing his hits. He just kept missing, or when he tried to put him on the ground, he just kept missing. He wasn't hitting Sean O'Malley, and it was a little frustrating. So, I mean, I don't know what happened to Chito. I don't know if it was just not his night. I mean, it probably wasn't his night, but he just kept missing hits, crucial hits that could have possibly knocked out O'Malley or possibly stunned O'Malley. It wasn't the same Chito when he fought him back in COVID times, 2020. It just wasn't the same Chito. It was a different fighter, and again, he just kept missing his hits, his body shots, his face shots, wrestling. But I mean, again, kudos to Sean O'Malley. He's a great champion right now, but he wants to. Who did he call out again? I forgot who he called out.
Poirier.
There we go. Yeah, he called him out. That was not smart about him, but hey, he wants to move up. He wants to be a champion. That's a world champion. I do want Sean O'Malley to fight the true Mexican. What's his name, Carlos?
Morab.
There we go. The true Mexican. I want to see that fight. I would be interested to see that fight. So we'll see what happens. But again, Chito was a little bit of a disappointment that night. I think he could have done a little bit more. But hey, he did not get knocked out.
Yeah, he was a warrior, dude. I don't know. Disappointment's kind of strong. He went through it, and he went
he
through
did
it.
go through it, but at the end, overall, he even said it. He said, "Sorry to disappoint you guys. It wasn't as nice at the night. Sorry. At the end of the day, it's a championship match. You lose, you have to start all over again."
Yeah,
Definitely. Chito is a humble guy. Like I really gained a lot of respect for him after the fight. He seemed like a really humble person, especially his post-fight interview. Right on stage, right after getting his butt whooped, he still thanked his family, thanked his trainers for the support, and said he'll be the champion one day. Maybe that's pretty hopeful thinking. Maybe not. Going back to you talking about him missing a lot. I don't know if that had anything to do with his haircut, dude. Like his hair was all over his face. I don't know if you could.
I think, honestly, I think Sean got him with the jab in the eye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what his eye, he couldn't really see. So I think that was just a factor of the fight because he kept missing. Like, he doesn't have an eye. You need obviously both eyes to fight.
I mean, he also got kneed in the face pretty fucking good. And even Sean was saying, like, I don't know how true it is, right? But Sean was like, oh, I felt something crack. And I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know how true that is. The sound is fucked.
You can hear the sound.
It's a lot
where he knees him, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Yeah. But it doesn't look like he broke his nose.
No. But one thing I do want to bring up, though, right, is in the final round, Chito went fucking like all in, right? And we all saw, we all saw during those last seconds, Chito landed a left uppercut or hook on his liver, and bell rings, all that, and then Sean everybody goes there, separates, but Sean hits the floor and is like, okay, like he felt that one, and I think he even mentioned it, like, hey, yeah, he got me good right there. So it only makes you think, okay, if maybe it was a minute that he had, or maybe an extra 30 seconds, it was a 40-second. What would it have been different? That would have been super sick to see. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I think Chito definitely should have looked for that opportunity way earlier in the round, especially in the 5th round or in the previous rounds. But it was just something like a what could have been moment, and I was like, fuck.
I mean, yeah. He did. How you said, you're perfectly said it right. If he had an extra 30 seconds or even a minute, he got him in the liver. Because Sean O'Malley went down instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Went down instantly. He could have punched him in the face, knee to the face or something. Anything could have happened. But, yeah, it just comes to show, like, he wasn't lucky that night. And, again, he should have done it earlier rounds, like you said, Josh. Should have done it earlier rounds, but he kept missing his opportunities.
Yeah, I think for his future opponents, that's something that they're going to notice whenever they're watching tape and his previous fights. Like, oh, that Sean left himself exposed there. I'm sure Sean and his team are going to go back and correct that. Maybe have a higher guard when it came to that, or just being a little bit more responsive when it came to a blow like that. But that's definitely something else that a lot of these fighters and a lot of these what would I say, elite fighters or champions are going to notice and be like, okay, that's a weak point. We could aim there. We could go for the body in the beginning rounds. That's one way to get him down on the ground and get a submission out of him or whatever it is, right? So that's definitely something new that we saw. And yeah. Do you guys have anything else, Carlos, Seiko?
Who? Go ahead, Carlos. Sorry, go. I was interrupted.
Chito has fucking balls. My man, he did not he had a chin. If Sean O'Malley's like, it was for my eyes, that was pretty much like a Sean O'Malley for a punching bag.
No, yeah. I mean,
respectfully.
Yeah,
I like Chito Vera a lot.
Chito got his butt kicked like pretty bad. And
oh yeah.
Again, Aldeco said he's a humble guy, and he accepted it.
I respect that.
It was disappointing because everyone was. I think, when we were watching the fight, I think everyone was rooting for Chito when we wanted Chito to win, but obviously Sean he's the champ, and he went in there, shut up all of us, for sure us, and won the match. I mean, I think all judges scored towards O'Malley, right?
Yeah, it was like 50-45.
54. I thought, man,
It was 250-45s and 150-44, and unanimous decision for O'Malley.
One thing I do want to mention is, and I was going to say this in the beginning when we moved on to this topic, but so Sean O'Malley, after that fight, he was making his call-outs, right? And the main one being to Poirier. Poirier is in the featherweight division. Obviously, he's a champion there. Sean is a champion of the bantamweight division. He didn't call out Merab, and actually Merab, whenever Sean was going to his locker room, Merab kind of followed him and was like trying to call him out, but Sean wasn't having it. I mean, obviously he's been, after 5 rounds, who really gives a fuck to do those conversations? But what I don't like is that Sean is already looking outside of his division when he hasn't even cleaned out his division. Like, a big one is Merab, right? That's a great fighter. That's someone that I really think he's gonna have some trouble fighting. And I think you guys feel the same when it comes to that, right?
right.
There's a couple,
Yeah,
Merab is a great
100%.
fighter, and he's a little Mexican, is what with this. But yeah, I think that Sean should focus on his division, fight Merab, give him, obviously he doesn't really give a fuck about Merab and whatever else, but he needs to get that. Merab needs to get that fight with Sean, and then after that, whatever happens with that fight, considering Sean wins, okay, then it's let's move up. Let's go over to the featherweight division. What do you guys think when it comes to that? With fighters that are champions, they gain the championship belt, they fight a couple fights. There's still that one person, one or two people that they deserve a shot like that still call them out. Like, should they just kind of leave that there and then just move over to the higher division and try to get that 2-time, or what should happen there?
Well, look at it like this. Alec Volkanovski cleaned out his division. He really did.
Right.
Obviously, he lost his last fight, and it sucked to see him lose because he's a great fighter, one of the best of all time right now. So I think Sean should, how you say, stick to his division, clean out that division, and then move up. We still need to see the rematch against Sterling. I think that has to happen.
Yeah, Sterling's number 2 right now too.
Yeah,
so
that has to happen just because when I saw that fight, I believe, Carlos, we saw that fight.
Yeah.
We saw the fight. Sterling was playing it's like Sean plays mind games with these fighters. Like, he plays mind games, and the way I want to explain this is because Sterling is a background jiu-jitsu wrestler, right? He could have played. He was the champion. Obviously, he has the advantage. He could have, just be soft and just wait for him, wait for Sean O'Malley, but he didn't. He wanted to be aggressive, and he paid the price for it, knocked him out. So I think first clean out your division, then move up. But even if he moves up, I think there's way too many great fighters, and he would not do well in featherweight.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
There's Brian Ortega, there's Jair Rodriguez, there's Max Holloway. Well, I don't know Max Holloway. I don't know about him because he's going to fight Justin Gaethje, but it's a rough division.
Volkanovski's still up there too. He's number 1 right now in regards to that division. And another question I wanted to ask you guys, unless Leiko, you have some input on that.
No, I agree. I do believe Merab would be the best fight for him. Well, I think the best fight fans would like to see, and I'd be curious to see how he does against someone that has that high amount of pedigree.
Yeah. And just another question that I wanted to ask you guys, and I've mentioned this before. Aside from this setting, is Sean O'Malley the next Conor McGregor? I heavily think he isn't, dude. He's not him. He's entertaining to watch for sure, especially with all his crazy flamboyant haircuts or hair colors that he has or hairstyles that he has, and his pink shorts that he recently acquired in this last fight. But like the attitude he has and the way he talks, he's kind of trying to be like that, right? I know it's yeah. I just get heavy vibes. Like, it's like some people think that he has that. He's the next McGregor, and I highly disagree with that. Like, I don't think it's gonna be hard to be the next McGregor.
Oh no, Conor McGregor is one of one, man. No one can now replace him.
I agree with Carlos. I think there will never be another Conor McGregor. No, he could be a wannabe Conor McGregor, but no disrespect to him, but there's no way. Conor McGregor is one of one, how Carlos said. He's the only Conor McGregor, and I'm still waiting for him to fight Michael Chandler. I feel like he's backing out, and he's being a scaredy cat. I don't want to say bad words, but he's being a scaredy cat. So yeah,
good job keeping it PG, Danny.
we're giving a PG. No, we don't have to keep it PG, but I just don't want to say bad words. But anyways, there won't be another Conor McGregor, just one, and he's not. It's just he's a wannabe. That's just my opinion. Lego.
Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Conor McGregor. I'm not the biggest fan of Conor McGregor. If you ask me, like, what has he done for the sport? I think he's a very controversial person. I'm not the biggest fan of him. And I would say, Sean O'Malley, from what I've seen, he's a different persona. It seems like Conor McGregor is more like, he's loud, he's in your face, he's not the nicest person. I'll keep it PG too.
He's a donkey.
Yeah, no, it's true because Sean. I mean, there was a press conference. I think it was 2 fights ago, and someone called him. Someone said, "Oh, Sean O'Malley." I'm not going to keep it PG. He said that he looked like a prostitute that stands on the corner with, just the way he looked. He had like this pink afro, and then Sean O'Malley was like, "Okay, yeah, that was good." Just that was it.
Yeah.
So he's definitely, you see that, like what you mentioned, like
different personas. How Lego said, 100%.
Exactly. So from that regard, I can never see Sean even trying to be like this guy because he's got his own personality to him. And what I wanted to say is, looking at that fight and just rewatching some of the highlights, I really honestly say this: both fighters gained a fan. I'm a fan in both fighters from that fight moving forward. Chito Vera, he took a complete beatdown. Also want to share with you guys, he's tied with John Jones, okay? For the most fights in UFC history without being finished at 23 fights. He's never been finished his whole career. No one. Same with John Jones. It kind of puts it into perspective what type of fighter this guy is. Like how much pride he has. Because so many people, dude, in boxing and in UFC, whatever, would have taken a punch like that. Obviously in boxing, you can't knee someone in the head. But they would have taken a pretty big punch wherever, right? And been done. This guy has so much pride and he does it so much for his family. He was like, no, like I'm gonna keep going. Like I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked, but I'm not gonna go down like a wimp. I'm gonna go down like a fighter because that's what I'm here for. So that's why I say Vera has gained me as a fan. And O'Malley, right? This pink-haired looking clown. This guy, if you just watch how he fights. Just watch how he fights, how he looks like his dominant hand is his right hand, but then he'll switch it up on you, and all of a sudden it looks like his dominant hand is his left hand because his feet are constantly shifting around the whole freaking octagon over and over and over. It's so hard to predict what he's gonna do, and I was looking at the fight, I remember watching it and almost criticizing him a little bit just because it looked like he was moving around so much. It would look like Chito would come in and he would take a few steps back, but that's just his style. He has incredible footwork and his precision, his striking, his length. It's pretty impressive to watch. And pink hair clown aside, the guy's a really good fighter. So I'm a big fan of both guys moving forward. Just to answer your question, Josh, I don't think Sean is going to be the next Conor. He's going to be the next Sean.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, that's a good take. And just you mentioned like his style, right? Just something that I just want to mention lastly before we finish is during that fight, he was constantly moving. He was going from orthodox to southpaw, and that's something we see in the UFC a lot, right? You want to keep your opponent guessing. What I did notice though, which I think what I would consider another weakness would be Sean, when he would switch, I mean, obviously his right hand, that's what he has, right? That's his main punch. That's where the knockouts come from. And whenever he would switch over to southpaw, I feel like Chito had more success landing some shots or just being a little bit more dominant when it came to Sean switching over from orthodox to southpaw. I feel like Sean is weaker when it came to that southpaw stance, and I feel like that's something that a lot of these other, the champions of these upcoming opponents should take into account and definitely look into that, because that right is obviously his jab. So, it's just
That's
switches the
he
game.
does.
So you're not going to be, So I feel like that's just a big opportunity for fighters to get a little bit more aggressive. I'm not saying Sean's not going to knock you out with his right, his leading right. He might throw a hook or anything, but it's definitely, you're going from like a 95% knockout rate where he's been his orthodox to, I would say, like a 70% knockout rate if he's in southpaw, because his right is just in a different place. And that's where I personally, I saw that Chito had more success in landing some crucial shots when he was in that southpaw stance. And I think that's something that we're gonna see in the future. I don't know if maybe they're gonna completely disregard it, or just, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how fighters adapt to that, and if it becomes a weakness. But if anybody has anything else to say, now's the time. If not, I think we're pretty solid on the Sean O'Malley and just the UFC card that happened on Saturday.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it in regards to the UFC. Again, thank you for watching, and be on the lookout. We'll catch you on the next one.